Everybody. My name is Sterling Caligeris. I'm a rising senior at Pinecrest School in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and today I'm going to present to you my floor cleaning robot. So we're going to begin with a quick demonstration of what this robot looks like in action. As you can see, I have developed a mobile app for this robot to work with. There is a D-pad you can control the robot with, which is what I start the video with. You see there, I press the up button, it moves up, forward. I press the down button and it moves backward. And you could see I'm able to control it that way. I just play with this for a couple more seconds, and then I move on to another mode I've created for my robot, which you see here is the autonomous mode. I simply press a button on my app, and the robot knows to look for obstacles and avoid any obstacles it sees by turning to the right and then moving forward. So you see it just avoided the basket there in front, and it then moved away from the wall. So those are two different modes. I mainly wanted to use the autonomous mode, but the more manual mode is there too, in case you know the robot missed a certain area of your floor and you want to simply control it yourself. So as you can see on the robot there, my main mechanism of cleaning was a duster as opposed to a brush. I had gotten a brush to attach to my robot, but the robot was too small to attach the brush to, so I settled for a duster. We're going to quickly take a look at some of the parts of my robot I think are interesting. So right here, these are two different parts that go on the roof of my robot. One is called the ESP32. It's on the left. It is a microcontroller, and it is through that little device that I was able to establish a lot of the wirings. And on the right is something called a motor driver. That's how I was mainly able to power the car. So there were two ways I programmed this robot. One of them was on a website called MIT App Inventor. And App Inventor enabled me to create the mobile app. So on the left is what the app looks like from the website's point of view. There are different buttons I put on the app and different what they call horizontal arrangements. Those are those gray boxes. They help space the app out more evenly. On the right is some of the code. The code App Inventor uses is block code, which means they have preset blocks that I am able to drag together to form one cohesive program. So that was one way I was able to program the robot. The majority of my programming, though, happened in a software called Arduino. And this is more traditional programming, if you will, with different lines of code. I've split this screen up into two. Just so if you were curious, the left side of my screen contains the code for my autonomous mode of the robot, and the right is more of the manual mode. I'm going to conclude this presentation with a couple of the different things I've learned through building this robot. The first thing you see right here is my robot at its first milestone. I had just wired everything together and put the wheels on. What I've learned from this first milestone process was all about persistence. For me, I am an avid computer science student, so throughout my recent programming career, I've had to develop a lot of persistence when my code doesn't work and I have to fix some bugs that are in it, etc. However, this was my first time really working with hardware. And with hardware, especially the wires, lots of things went wrong for me that I felt were out of my control. For example, some of the wires, I had to wrap around different hooks on the motors, and after I wrapped them around, they kept falling off. So it was little things like that that I was able to develop persistence through, and just know if I keep trying, I will get this to work if I don't give up. The other main takeaway I had is from the end of this video. As you could see, the duster that is attached to the robot. Some things I learned were all about adaptation. And so throughout my whole project, I was envisioning using a brush to sweep the floor. When the brush didn't work out and I had to come up with the duster, I realized this actually might be a better solution, because instead of just pushing dust or dirt around, the duster can actually pick up the debris on the floor. Additionally, as you saw, I did a lot of programming in Arduino. This was a language I was not familiar with beforehand, and it took a lot of taking what I knew from Java and other languages and adapting it to this new one to create the programs for this robot. So that's all for my presentation, and thank you very much for listening today.
That was great. Any questions for Sterling? I personally have one question. What inspired you to choose a cleaning robot for your project?
Yeah, definitely when I was looking through the possible projects I could have picked, I was reminded by a product my family bought when we first moved to this house. It was a Roomba robot, which is supposed to traverse your home and pick up some of the dust and clean the house for you. And we got it, we let it run a couple times, and then ultimately decided it wasn't doing a great job of cleaning the floor. And yet, even through all these years, we haven't had the robot. I still find it as a really interesting product that's on the market, and I wanted to delve deeper into how it worked. And of course, a great way of doing that was to replicate it in a way, replicate it and create a new product that functions as the same way as the Roomba does. So that was my main inspiration for this.
Cool. Any further questions for Sterling?
I have kind of a question. Do you think that you've kind of come to the end of this project, or do you think there's more modifications that you would like to kind of pursue with the floor cleaning robot?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more. The robot I have now is very basic. There are a lot more improvements I can make with the autonomous mode. For example, the algorithm I use to develop the autonomous mode is if it saw an obstacle, it would turn to the right until it no longer saw it and then move forward. On a lot of occasions, this isn't the best solution. And just as a person watching the robot work, you're just thinking, well, why don't you turn to the left? It's a lot safer there. So small tweaks like that, I definitely want to be able to develop soon.
Gotcha. Awesome, man. Awesome project.